John.
So yeah, we're now recording. Correct, Giselle. I think you're absolutely right. So my name's John Moody. I went to a networking meeting middle of last year and bumped into a guy who I hadn't seen for a number of years, and he told me about some magic socks, and I thought that sounds interesting, but I also wasn't taking him that seriously until he said golf. I said, what do you mean by golf? And he said, well, it helps golfers. So, okay, well, let's perhaps take this a bit more seriously. So I bought some socks and bought some insoles, and found that my dodgy right hip, which had been slowing down my golf, was getting better, and my golf was getting better. So here we are, nearly a year later, and how the world has changed. So I've been a sports fan all my life, and I love talking to sports people. I love the buzz that comes from sports people and the banter you get in the dressing room. So this is Tuesday night is banter night with sports night, if you like. So I'm delighted that Terry is with us. Terry's been influential in helping us get up and running in the UK, and it's a pleasure to have you on the call again, Terry, and be able to present this great opportunity. So with no further ado, if I can ask you to fire up the slides, and let's get going.
Let me just see if I could share my screen. Okay, So first of all, welcome everybody. Great to have everybody on the call here this evening. And tonight's our talk is basically has to do with our wearable neurotech and what it's doing for not only the weekend warrior athlete, but the professional athlete as well. And funny story, John, when Ron and I first came across this back in 2015, in the fall of 2015, of course, we took some sample products and we went and played golf, and we had a couple hot shots in our group that were, 15 to 20 years younger than us. And we put our secret socks on, and all of a sudden they couldn't figure out why these two old birds were out driving them by 15 to 20 yards, piping it down the fairway. So we had a good chuckle. That was our first real experience with our technology on the golf course. So I often say that there's no substitute for talent. And if you've got a bad swing and you have a slice or a hook, you'll just slice it 15 yards further out of bounds. So we have to make sure that our swing is coherent and that we have a good golf swing as well. But, the neat thing about our technology, as Arthur C. Clarke says, is that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. And certainly, our products are magical at times. And, one of the things about our product is that we cover a lot of gamuts. When you elicit the response in the brainstem that our product does to achieve, homeostasis or balance in the brainstem, and as Dr. Mark says, opens up the pathways or opens up the doors to the stadium, we see enhanced ability to manage your pain. We see improvements in low energy, neural health. We can fix cognitive decline. We help with mobility. We reduce the risk of fall immensely, especially after the age of 55 years old. We help alleviate stress. When we improve our neurology, rehab and recovery is improved, and certainly neuropathy, as is one of our studies, is certainly greatly reduced. But especially as we're going to talk about tonight is our exercise and sports performance. And recovery is huge. And, Ron will, tell his story tonight once we get it rolling with regards to the operation that his son had, which was very similar. In fact, it was the same operation that my son had, who was also a hockey player, and it actually finished my son's career. as it happened to him twice. But certainly anti-aging and quality of life is enhanced. And I think a lot of us have seen that over the past, certainly with our group here in North America over the past 4 years. And I think some of the stories that are coming out of the UK with regards to sports performance, especially one we heard last week with Gail, John, was incredible how she, was a runner and improved her time immensely and was sort of mind blowing. So, the bottom line really comes down to, what if you could use or promote a product that helped with these conditions? Would you share it? Would you try it yourself? And that's the, important question, is to get this product on yourself. And, when we are dysregulated from our neurology, we start to experience things that we just think are normal. And although they may be normal as part of aging and so on, they don't have to be as detrimental, or as my dear friend Kevin Duguay says, these are neurological inconveniences that we can certainly improve upon to help our quality of life. So, how did it all start? It all started with, a journey with our CEO and founder, Jay Dhaliwal, with a desire to help his mom, who was diagnosed with MS at an early age. So, she was diagnosed when Jay was just 13 years old. And he made a promise to his mom that he would do his best to find a solution, if not an improved quality of life for his mom. And so his journey began at a young age. Those seeds were planted. Jay has been an amazing businessman. He's, an engineer in data encryption. He's been an entrepreneur, and his whole life, and has worked for Fortune 500 companies, and dumped his life into Vox Life. And I can remember sitting in his office one day before we launched the company, and we were discussing sort of the comp plan and how we're going to do this, and and there was with regards to network marketing. Let's just launch problems later. And he said, "Are you sure this is going to work?" And I can remember saying, "I don't know, but let's do it anyways." And he went like this, and he went, "It better work, because I'm all in. I'm all in." He said, "I have spent every dime that I have on this technology." So we're very grateful that, that he had the vision to continue to, pour in his belief into this technology, and understand that there's so much more that can be done through vibrotactile stimulation, haptic coding, as it's referred to now, that will elicit responses in your brain to improve your quality of life. So our HPT, Human Performance Technology, as the acronym is for, is a neurotechnology which helps the brain achieve homeostasis or balance through neurostimulation, through a sequence of receptor activation. So the company was started, it was launched in June of 2016, and our mission was decided. Jay's mission was to help 1 billion people. And in 4 years, we've helped over 5 million people, and we continue to roll and to grow. And certainly it's been an honor for myself to do this. So maybe at this point, John, we'll just take a little break in the slide presentation. I'll stop the share for a second, and maybe we could here I'll do a little introduction for my dear friend Ron Hoover, who I haven't seen enough of lately. I miss you, buddy. And we'll have a little talk. Ron and I met probably, I'm going to say 25 or 26 years ago. Here in Brantford, Ron was at the retiring end of his career in hockey. Suffered, some injuries and stuff in hockey, like most contact sport athletes, and but had a lengthy career of about, I guess, was it 12 years, Ron, in the NHL?
9 years, not all in the NHL, or I'd be retired by now.
But the bottom line is it's one of those amazing feats to make it to the NHL, and he was with the Boston Bruins here and played approximately 26 games in the league before injury and bad trade deals and a number of things sent him down to the minors for a while. But needless to say, he was in the States. Both his children were born in the States. We met 25 years ago and became really, really good friends. In fact, he was playing in a pro team that we had here in Brantford, and he was playing with my cousin's husband. And we went for a beer after, and I met Ron after the thing, and we became really good friends. And so we've golfed together. We played hockey together for a lot of years. Our kids have grown up together, and Ron's is a tremendous athlete. He's a great golfer. He's competitive in whatever he does. And I can remember bringing these products back to him at his home, and he was working out, and I said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he said, "I'm just working out." I said, "Hey, I'm going to come and join you." I didn't really want to work out. I hated working out. I wanted to come and show them this technology and do the lateral dynamic stability test to him. And he literally, I made him step on the insoles and off the insoles and did the lateral and dynamic stability test. And I thought he was going to pop me one. He was so mad because he couldn't stop from falling over. And he looked for every excuse and brought out probably 4 other pairs of shoes and pulled the insoles out of them, made me test him on those insoles too. And he failed miserably. So all of a sudden his interest was intrigued. And so he's been part of this journey. He had an opportunity to join us on a corporate level, offer his knowledge and skills as having his degree from Western Michigan, where he was the captain of the hockey team there, and has done an amazing job. And some days it's not easy, but nothing worthwhile is. And I'm just delighted to have Ron on the call to share a little bit about his experience with our technology in sports, and more pointedly towards his son, Matt. So welcome, Ron. Great to have you here.
Terry, thanks for the warm introduction, and thanks for embellishing a little bit like all good salespeople do. It's a pleasure to see you again. I was going to say good afternoon, but it's good evening over there. Like I said, my name's Ron Hoover, Director of Medical Sales. Terry and I go way back, 20-something plus years. Kevin Dugay, who's on the call as well, a fantastic athletic trainer and a wealth of knowledge. Him and I actually go way back as far as midget hockey, and that's where our introduction began in Oakville. So it's amazing how everything's come full circle. It's a small world, and sometimes the good Lord above brings everybody back together to do some amazing things. So like Terry was alluding to earlier, before I grew up in Oakville, I was actually a very small kid and almost quit hockey in midget. It's kind of funny how things have changed over the years. I ended up playing 4 years on a hockey scholarship at Western Michigan, and then was lucky enough to play 9 years pro hockey and Summit with the Boston Bruins. Actually, fortunate enough to make it to the semifinals of the Stanley Cup, where we lost that year to the Pittsburgh Penguins, who had star-studded lineup and a bunch of Hall of Famers. So was close to winning a championship, but it was an amazing process getting there. I think I was also lucky. The only major injury I had was I shattered my fibula, broke my leg. I still have a plate and 8 screws. So, you know, over the years, my left hip and leg's been sore, not only from numerous years of competitive hockey, but also played a lot of competitive golf as a kid as well. And John, I hear you love to play golf, and Terry and I are both big fans of the game, and I think Vox has certainly helped us in our golf game as well. But one of the other things I just wanted to talk about was, you know, I also had multiple concussions over the years. And I think in Dr. Mark's slide presentation, which you've probably seen some of the brain map images, you know, one of the things that back then you just sort of sucked it up and you went back to playing hockey as soon as like you felt you could play. Whereas today the protocols and everything are a lot different. So one of the things that convinced me down the road after our elusive meeting when Terry first brought the technology down to my basement and said, "Hey, I've got these magic socks and insoles. You need to try them out." You know, it's something that you can actually quantify and see. And I think in one of his presentations or slides, he goes on to show the differences and changes. And those are actually brain map images of myself. And I knew something was happening all along, and I could tell that it was making a difference. But when you actually physically see those things on brain map imaging, and not only on the cortical level, but then you go down subcortical and you can see everything going on, it certainly shows that there is a transformation there. And even though people can say, well, maybe I don't necessarily think something is happening, we see in our neurology and we see through QEEG brain map imaging that there are changes taking place. One of the things Terry wanted me to talk a little bit was about, myself, how it's helped me out. I think one of the biggest things has been pain management, not only with my hip and my breaking my fibula, a little bit of chronic pain over the years. I think one of the other things is getting back into the gym, having more power, better balance, better stability while lifting, being able to do more reps. And the biggest thing too for me was the better recovery. As we get older, I'll be 54 this year. You're not as sore the next day. You're able to function and do those things, whether, you're a weekend warrior athlete or you're someone who's been a professional athlete. Those things are all still important, and even more so the older we get as we age. So Terry just wanted to say one other thing. He wanted me to talk a little bit about my son. He's fortunate enough to be using technology for the last 4 years. He was a Division I hockey player at Canisius. Being on the smaller side, took more to my wife's side of the family, 5'9", probably 180 pounds soaking wet. And as an athlete, and with the the size and the skill level and the speed and the power and strength of these athletes in today's current world, you need to get every competitive advantage that you can. And the biggest thing that I saw for him, it really helped him with his balance and stability on the ice. And everybody used to ask, why is your son so strong? He's a little guy. He shouldn't be able to tackle or go against guys who are 6'1", 6'2", and 20, 30 pounds bigger. But as you guys can all attest, the balance and stability that you gain with this product is truly remarkable, and especially on a sport like hockey where you're on a very thin blade, and balance and stability is important, not only from a performance standpoint, but also from an injury prevention standpoint too. And I don't think it's just hockey, it's all sports, whether it's basketball, football, baseball. Anytime you're planted and you're strong and you can put yourself in a least vulnerable position to injure yourself or have something negative happen when you're on the field, I think that's an important aspect of the game and a certain advantage that everybody's looking for. One of the other things is interesting is when Matt was wearing the technology this year. I don't know if Terry, and obviously everyone's aware of our eSmarter technology, which I always wear, and I have my HPT tech on, and hopefully everybody's wearing their technology on a daily basis. There you go, Terry. Attaboy. I don't think it's a coincidence this year that he had his best year ever. He was Player of the Month when he first started wearing his eSmarter sleeve in conjunction with his Vox technology. As Terry alluded to, he signed a pro contract at the end of the year, and unfortunately, due to COVID, was only able to practice, and then things got canceled, so he hasn't been able to play. So hopefully he'll be able to follow that up. But Terry wanted me to allude to the recovery aspect of things, and being in the medical sales for 15 years after my hockey career was done, I saw a lot of hip and knee injuries, hip and knee surgeries, thousands of them to be exact. And I started to notice people were using the product both pre-operatively and post-operatively. And one of the things that people were saying is that how it's helping them with their pain management, how they feel better, both pre-operatively and post-operatively. And I really do believe, and it's why I left that profession, that is making a difference in the whole healing process and the recovery process. And I think that's an important aspect if you're an athlete, if you're recovering from injury, or you're just a normal person who is out there trying to feel better on a daily basis. I think we all have so many things that are in our lives, both externally and internally, what's going on. Everybody's got a lot to deal with, both from a stress level, work level, just regular things going on in their life. And any way you can use something that's going to optimize your neurology and optimize your health and how you perform it and feel better is going to be something beneficial. So he in his junior year had a labral hip tear, which is common amongst a lot of hockey players and athletes in different sports. And he was worried that if he had it repaired, like Terry's son Wes did, he would be out probably 6 to 9 months and would subsequently probably lose his senior year. Well, he was very fortunate that being in the States was able to get a doctor to perform the surgery and do it. And he actually recovered 5 months to the day from actually having a surgery on. He wore our HPT patch every day. As soon as he got out of the operating room, I put it on him, and he wore it literally 24/7. You know, some of the things that I noticed after post-surgery were, you know, he took very few pain meds, especially the strong ones. He was Tylenol. And when you've had labral hip surgery done, for those of you who don't know, he had shaving of the anterior femur. He had acetabular impingement. He also had multiple suture anchors put in. So this is not something that's a super easy operation, and it's painful, and the recovery isn't quick and easy. And through his therapy and even his physio people commented on how well and how quickly he was recovering. And I had seen things like that happen before, with whether it's hip or knee or other surgeries. And I was totally amazed and thought, this has to be doing something to the recovery process. And I've seen it with him. I've talked to multiple people. I've talked to people who have had injuries or surgeries on bilaterals, on, you know, both knees or both hips done, and they all commented on the same thing. So, you know, it's quite remarkable. My experience for myself as an ex-professional athlete, now being a so-called weekend warrior, or someone who wants to still stay physically active, either possibly play hockey or enjoy games of golf like we all do. It's something that has helped my game. It's helped my recovery. It's helped my son at a professional level, and we've seen it happening to many other people. So I know time is probably an issue here, but the theme and the point I want to drive home and make abundantly clear to everybody is that, you know, as an athlete, you're always looking for a competitive advantage. And I think back then I would have done anything to be a better player. You know, now in today's world, you've got something that can give you advantage. And I think that one of the greatest things is you don't have to change your routine. Everybody wears socks and uses insoles. It's something that isn't disruptive. Economically, it's affordable. It doesn't change anything in your daily routine. And I think when you can overall improve your neurological health, not only is that beneficial for you as an athlete, but just as an individual for your own personal health. So, you know, people focus on nutrition, they focus on training, they focus on rest and sleep and recovery. And, you know, when you have something that's going to help improve balance, stability, range of motion, recovery, all those things in one, you know, why wouldn't you use the tech? Drug-free, you know, non-electrical, non-chemical, affordable, and the people who use it love it. So, you know, summing things up, I don't want to take too much of everyone's time, but I just wanted to give you an overview and insight on what I've experienced as an ex-professional athlete, how it's affected my son, who is aspiring to be a professional athlete, and also the recovery process, which I have seen both in himself and in countless number of people, whether it be hip, knee, ACL, or different things. And hopefully down the road, we'll be able to prove that. You know, we're trying to work on a knee study right now, total knee post-operative study that'll look at functional outcomes. And when that thing's all said and done, you know, we'll see where let the chips fall where they may, and that'll be very interesting to see what happens. But I truly think this is an amazing product. I left a career because I thought that Jay's mission of helping 1 billion people is something that is truly unique, and I don't think there's anything out there like that. And I think once the medical community finally jumps on board and realizes that socks and insoles and patches can elicit a neural response and that changes the quality of life of people, I think you're going to see a paradigm shift like you've never seen before, and people are going to flock to this and realize that, hey, this is something out there unique and special, and everybody should be wearing this technology. So, Terry?
Yeah. One of the things that I really noticed, because both our sons had the exact same operation, Wes had the same operation, my son Wes had the same operation before we knew about this technology. And a few years later, several years later, Matt has the same operation. But what I really noticed looking at Matt is very little bleeding and very little bruising. And my son was an absolute disaster. In fact, I just found a picture on my phone that I want to hold up to people. And this is like 3 days post-op. And the bruising was insane. So that's on his, he had the labral operation with shaving of the femur and anchors and so on, and very, very painful recovery. But certainly, you know, I noticed the difference in the recovery. And that's very important when it comes to athletes, because athletes are very highly paid, especially at a professional level. And team owners, coaches, managers, when they're an integral part of that team, they want them back on the field. They want them back on the court. They want them back on the ice, healthy and, you know, almost at 100%. And certainly this technology has the ability to help with that for sure. Our bodies are an amazing machine. We, when we, you know, when we turbocharge them with our neurology, it's amazing what our bodies can accomplish. So thank you so much for that. So, John, would you like me to just go back to the share screen again and continue on with the slide? You're muted, John.
Yes, please, Terry. That'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. So research is, as Ron said, is an ongoing commitment to studies. We have a number of studies that that we're working that they were working on that due to COVID have a delay in them now. But certainly one of the most effective tools that we have is really people's stories. It's no different than listening to Ron's story or Kevin Duguay's story or Jay's story with his mom or mine or yours, John, or anyone's. It's really the stories of people's experience is one of the best studies in the world, and we have both a Canada-US testimonials group and also now more currently a UK testimonials group on Facebook. There's thousands of real people with immediate improvements in balance, stability, range of motion through a simple assessment. It's a 5-minute on-off the technology assessment, and what we can show is the improvements in your balance and stability and range of motion within a period of approximately 7 seconds. So, when you do the actual demonstration to people, they cannot unexperience what they just experienced. And it's always kind of fun to see the expression on people's faces when they get dusted and they fail miserably. And they're like, as we've often heard, I wasn't ready. Try that again. Okay, you're pushing harder this time. They're looking for every excuse to try and disable your technique. So Jay had studies done at California Institute of Sports, the Applied Neuroscience and Life Chiropractic. The one thing about Jay is he's committed. He's committed to continuing ongoing studies, but as everything, studies take time. So, we encourage people, we have a 30-day money-back guarantee for a reason. Get the tech on, wear it every day for 22, 23, 24 days, somewhere in there, every single day, and then don't wear it. And you're going to know how important neurology is to your overall well-being. So how does it work? It starts with a tactile pattern. So as you can see on the bottom of this insole here, this human performance technology, this pattern is especially embedded or woven into our wellness products and performance products. Now, contact with this pattern or the sequence of receptor activation triggers a neural response in the brainstem that helps manage pain as well as improve mobility and balance. So we're opening, as Dr. Mark would say, we're opening up. If you can imagine, the stadium as your brain, and there's 30 doors to the stadium and there's only 3 open, and there's thousands and thousands of people trying to get into the stadium, and they can hear some cheering going on and they're all rushing to get in, but there's only 3 doors open. And then all of a sudden the tech goes on and all 30 doors to the stadium open up, and so the crowd flows in. So what it's doing is that it's it's opening up the central nervous system, kind of like opening up the doors to a stadium. So what happens, you touch the pattern, it triggers a response, it affects the body, and then you feel the difference. So, this pattern is encrypted. In here, it's something you cannot copy. Jay, being an encryption engineer, has done a very, very good job of protecting this technology for all of us. So it's really, don't overthink it. Get the product on. Unless you get brain mapped, and really with Ron and myself, we are both part of a study. I had some concussion issues in my brain as well as part of the study from my years in hockey, and didn't realize it until it showed up on the brain map. 9 months later, I was mapped again, and absolutely no indication of any, concussion wear on my brain or concussion damage. Totally resolved. So that's pretty amazing to me. And I just know that my life is better. At 59 years old, certainly, I feel better at 59 than I did when I was just turning 50. And the amazing thing is, everybody was telling me you were supposed to feel terrible at 50, and it only gets worse. And I wasn't willing to believe that. So I'm very, very grateful. So when you optimize your neurology, what can happen? Better balance and mobility, faster recovery from exercise, and you can push yourself further. We're seeing amazing, from athletes, we're seeing amazing personal bests when they put our tech on. Enhanced pain management. We had 1,000 participants, and it was well over the 900 mark, where people had significant reduction in foot pain. Neural health, 100% of the, just go back here, sorry, a little trigger happy here. 100% of participants in an independent study with neural health based on brain mapping saw an average of 36% increase in overall brain optimization with our HPT products. That's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, people that spend thousands of dollars for neuroplasticity, are happy with, 10 to 20%, are ecstatic and are paying thousands of dollars. You can get outfitted in our technology very comfortably, for a few $100 to fit your lifestyle without any problem whatsoever. And we're hearing amazing stories of increased energy. So, we see people that, weren't able to go on walks, weren't able to go on hikes, that are now improving their quality of life. Our brain mapping equipment is QEEG, quantitative electroencephalography, which measures the brain in colors, and we can see the brain calm down. We can see the brain reach homeostasis right before our eyes, on and off the technology. And Dr. Mark, our VP of clinical strategy, has done well over 7,000 brain maps on our technology. He's done way more brain maps than that in his lifetime, but more specifically with our technology, on and off, over 7,000 brain maps for sure. So always incredible. If you get a chance, or you find a place that you can have your brain map on and off the technology, then I would encourage you to do that. So we see, on the left here, a brain that's showing some dysregulation, overstimulated, showing red. And then when they put the technology on, we see within 7 seconds the brain go into a balanced or homeostasis position, so which is incredible. So when you see what happens, you will be struggling with, different things like, poor balance and attention, poor decisions, cognitive decline, and then you wear the technology. And I have lots of people that have told me, simple things like, I don't have to hold the railing going downstairs anymore. I don't have to have the, washer door open to lean on, to bend over and pick up clothes off the floor in the laundry room. Simple things that, that are improvements in life that mean a lot to a lot of people. So certainly we're seeing amazing things. We have our technology in patches, which if you're not into wearing socks, you want to go barefoot, you want to be at the beach around the pool. We have patches that will do the same thing as our socks and insoles. We have our insoles that have our technology embedded them as well. And then we have our socks, of course, that you can wear along. And I encourage people to wear socks and insoles together, because when you take off your shoes and you still got your socks on, then you'll never have to worry about being out of bounds. Wearing them together is certainly not going to give you double the strength or double the power. It's just going to cover you in all situations. And I have, all my footwear, everything, single pair that I wear has our technology insoles in them. My golf shoes, my dress shoes, my flip-flops, you name it. They all have the technology. I don't ever have to even think of whether I have the tech on or don't have it on. What we're seeing in our studies is on average 31% plus balance and improved stability, improved balance, increases of 15% range of motion. And as I mentioned earlier, certainly the study on pain relief from foot pain, with over well over 900 people that improved or reduced their foot pain. So Excentra4, these are all amazing things that if an athlete can achieve these, whether it's in rugby, football, whether it's in soccer, whether it's in hockey, whether it's in, lacrosse, all these things that you're seeing here, whether it's in cycling, 17% eccentric force, 8% improvement in time to execute that force, your 17% increase in velocity of force, 22% more power. That's huge. We're seeing amazing things from world-class weightlifters using our technology. And we often say this is like legal blood doping. You put this technology on, and why did athletes blood dope? Because it elicited a response in their brain through a drug, doing it through tactile stimulation. So phenomenal improvements. Driver dispersion with a 6-iron, that means accuracy. So distance, and I'm certainly, I'm certainly a witness to that. An improved driving distance. I'm still able to hit the ball in the high 200s, and a lot of times if it's downwind, I happen to click a few over the 300 mark. But driving distance, more hip rotation, able to turn better is all important components of the golf game, as you will agree, John, for sure. So in summary, our technology, our HPT technology is proprietary technology. No one else has it in the world. We are a blue ocean product. We have no competitive products. We're drug-free, we're non-invasive, non-electrical, non-magnetic. It's immediate, approaching instant. It's easy to use, you simply wear it. 24 access use for our products, socks, insoles. We now have knee braces. We now have 4 other modalities, or 3 other modalities in patches, and our e-sleeve, which is cognitive boost technology. It's age safe, non-reactionary for majority of users that at least don't have an allergic reaction to, spandex or some of the nylons or whatever. It's age safe and it's pregnancy safe. And most of all, it doesn't cost you thousands of dollars to have an enhanced performance or an enhanced quality of life. So it is very, very affordable. So we have a number of testimonials, and I'm sure I can stop sharing the screen at this point. We'll maybe just touch a little bit on our cognitive boost technology. As you can see, myself and John, and this is working on the cognitive part of the brain, so your frontal cortex and the cerebellum. And we're finding that, when we wear our eSmarter sleeve in these parts of the brains, even though the HPT was doing it, it's now working in conjunction and dovetailing with the cognitive boost technology. And so all of a sudden the HPT looks at it and says, oh my goodness, okay, I don't have to go and work so hard on the cognitive part of the brain, as I have a helper with me called CBT. And so they dovetail very, very nice together. And I found, a new clarity and a new calm and a new reduced stress level that I didn't think was possible, to be honest with you. eSmarter is a separate company, but it is a product that a company that Jay also owns. And he has brought it in to let the field of Vox associates leverage and sell this product, as it's an amazing product for not only those that have to make split second decisions, those that are in high stress level jobs, those that want to bring out their creative juices. This sleeve is really an amazing product, and I don't go a day without my sleeve on as well. Neurovax is just a pattern that optimizes your immune system through the vagus nerve and through your neurology. We also have a REM patch that allows you to reach rapid eye movement and give you a deeper, better sleep, both in REM, as we know. These are important for sleep because of cell reproduction in these times. It's another modality that we have. So very, very amazing stuff. You can conduct your own research. We have a product that will fit you. So reach out to whoever brought you on this call and get outfitted with our product, and you'll be happy you did. Share it with somebody you love, somebody you care about, somebody that you can help. And it's a joy that I think you'll find in your life that you may not have realized was even out there. But John, I just for sake of time, just quickly, I'd like Kevin just to quickly come on, and Kevin Duguay, who's the first associate in Vox Life history. He's actually my sponsor. I am officially the second associate in Vox Life. Kevin Duguay and myself have become tremendous friends since 2015. We've traveled on the road together. We've bunked together. We spoke together. He is the heart of Vox Life. If there was a Spirit of Vox Life award, this guy would win it hands down. The people he has helped, both in the athletic side, the wellness side, the seniors, it's a mission, it's a passion that is just so infectious. And with his background of 40 years plus in sports medicine, some of the athletes and some of the players that he's seen get improvements and up their game in using this technology is incredible. So Kev, welcome. Thanks for jumping on, and just take the time to talk to people about a couple of quick stories that you might have from the athletic side.
That's dangerous. Quick stories. Okay, I will be quick. I guess, for the sake of the call, I'll share a couple of pro moments in light of, when you take a technology to the most gifted athletes in the world, right? They're the top of the pyramid, as we call it, right? They've reached the mountaintop. That's who they are, the best of the best. And they look at us, at our physical body, and they look at them and they're going, what are you going to tell me about performance? Like, your body does not look anything like I got, Kev. And I'm in this league. So I'll share two stories. And one was Ron and I on one. And then another one was my early days before the business started, was in the NBA. So I want you to imagine, welcome to licensing rights. I have to be very compliant, but you can figure out where the city is and where the team is. I'll leave it at that. But I want you to imagine a power forward at 6'9", 285. And I'm at 5'10", $170. And I'm telling him, and we're sharing that we have something that's going to help with his balance and stability. And he's looking at us and Jay and the rest of us that were there going, really? Oh, look at me, look at you. How can you help me with because I'm in the NBA. I'm good, right? Terry said that earlier, we're good. So I remember this like plain as day. So we did the lateral and dynamic stability demonstration with an NBA power forward at 6'9", 285. And just like Terry said, he gets absolutely crushed or dusted on the demo, and he is livid. I will not say the language that came out, but you could imagine what 4-letter words flew off his lips, because he's having a mind melt right now. Because he's looking at, how the flip did you do that? And as Terry said, because they're all disturbed, you know what, I wasn't ready. Do it again. No problem. I'll do it all day long. It don't matter. Neuro is, that's trusted science. So he did it again, and he's like, what the okay. Now, and the question we have, right, and we tell this with athletes in the call, is how important is balance, power, stability, stamina, speed, endurance, power, respiratory function, recovery to you as an NBA basketball player? It's everything. Well, if I could show you how we could instantly improve, and we did it again on the insoles. And it was like another mind melt, because he was like planted in cement. And the next words out of his lips, and that's another study that we had done with another guy in California, was, I want those blankety blank insoles in my shoes right now. That was it. It was over. Done. And that started a journey for us into that foray. And another one that was dear to my heart was Ron and I, of all things. And again, it's an interesting story how things come together. But we met with an NHL hockey player. He was in the American Hockey League at the time, but we met with him down in Toronto. So I asked Ron to come along, because Ron had been in the NHL, and he was a player that I'd worked with 7 years prior in junior A hockey, that we had a relationship as therapist to athlete. And we did the demo after his day before game skate. So it's like you guys with your shoot around in the morning of the game. It was the day before. So we do the demo in the lobby of the rink, and he's like blown away. Cannot believe the difference in his range of motion. And he, at that time when I knew him as a hockey player, he was like the best skater in the Junior A Ontario Hockey League. He was like a gazelle on ice. It was like beautiful to watch. So he goes, I'm going to wear these in the morning skate the next day, because he couldn't believe the difference. It's great. Go test it in your lab experiment, like Terry said. So he goes in the morning skate, wears the socks, texts me after the practice, what the flip is in these socks? I said, what do you mean? I can't believe the difference on the ice, Kev. I'm seeing the puck quicker. I'm reacting faster. My edges are better. I get better clarity and focus. My shot's better. He goes, I'm going to wear them in the game tonight. Now, I'm sure it's the same in the UK with you guys with football and cricket, whatever, if you're having a test match or, a Premier League game. If an athlete, especially playoffs, if an athlete, you see an athlete, they change their routine in the playoffs. That never happens. In our world in hockey, that's like sacrilege. Do not touch an athlete in playoffs. Don't mess with my routine. He says, no. I'm a different hockey player. I'm going to wear them in the game that night. And I think, Hoovie, did you go to the game? Did you go to the game that night? Yeah, Hoovie went to the game. I couldn't make it. Hoovie goes, and we couldn't have written the script any better if we tried. Like, he scores the game-winning goal in I think it was overtime or not, but he scores the game-winning goal for the Grand Rapids Griffins. They win that game, but they lost the series. But subsequent, Matt kept wearing the tech. Matt, like Ronnie's son, got to the NHL. He got to the first division in the UK. He's the second division. He got to the promised land. And, he was a 2-time first-team All-Star. He's a small player like Ronnie's son, 5'10", $175, $180. And they go, what's the difference? Well, when you put that tech on a gifted athlete, you change all his metrics. And the athletes know their body. And Terry and I and Ron and all of us on this call going, I just love sharing with the athletes. Go do, like Terry said, go do your own experiment. And as an FYI, guys, before this call, I was doing some brainstorming. I got a book. I kept notes from 5 years ago of physical testing I did some of my junior A hockey players on lateral flies. And this was way before the business started, right? And give you an example. On lateral flies, I got one hockey player went from 17 reps to 32. He had it 15 reps. And all 6 guys they did testing on. I mean, this is old school, boys. It's written down. It's right there. Okay, that's all you're gonna see. So, but everybody's numbers improved. Everybody's numbers improved. And like Terry said, if I can get an edge, even if it's 1 inch on a jump, I want it. And so what have we learned? We got so many stories that Terry, Ronnie, all of it, we're like bulletproof. I don't care what level you play. I do not care, because we Voxed the best and they all got better. Why? Because their neuro is not at its best. It's at some level that they think is good, but they don't know what we know. So who are we? We're the educators. We have this knowledge. They don't have what we know. They have a different body. Like Terry said, you can't drive straight. You're just going to drive further out of bounds. But if you can drive straight, it's going. Go ask DeChambeau, who just won the last golf. 325-yard drive. I mean, he's tanking him a mile. The guy just won golf on the weekend. Just launching him off to 370 yards. I can't remember. It's big numbers. But numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie. And that's what I love about this. I love about our testing and our stories. So I'm only telling 2 stories. I'm done. That's it.
You know what? That's the amazing thing about our technology, from, right from the pro athlete to those that want to, not necessarily even get better, just enjoy the game better from a recovery standpoint. And, I know a number of people that, were starting to dislike the game of golf because they were too sore after. It was too long for them to recover. And they get the technology on and they're enjoying the game again because the recovery is better. So it's not always about, the focus isn't always about being better, although most athletes that are out there always want to be better, whether you're an amateur or not. But it's about enjoying the sport, enjoying what you grew up with. We have, people that are back to playing pickleball again, because they can. Certainly, I encourage people to, try this, yourself first, share it with friends. And on behalf of Ron and Kevin and myself and John, I thank everybody for being on the call. So back to you, John.
Okay, thank you very much, Terry, and thank you, Kevin, and thank you, Ron, as well. I got Stuart here, who was going to give us his testimonial as well. So in the interest of showing that normal human beings also have great results as well as the elite, Stuart is actually been a friend of mine for a few years, and he's a mind coach, particularly in the area of golf. His business is Fearless Putting. I think he's got his own golf story. So Stuart, do you want to come and share that with us?
Yeah, thanks for the normal introduction, John. That's very kind. I know that Terry had quite a good build up, and so did Ron. But I'm just normal. That's fine.
Well, including me in that as well.
Don't worry, because it's really important. One of the things that struck about Vox Life to start with is that I was quite healthy, quite normal, quite going about my business quite normally. As a sports psychologist, I had my head in the right place, and I was teaching other people how to do these things. And John just rang me out of the blue and said, try this stuff. And he's asked me today to focus on golf. So as a golf coach, I obviously play golf. The first thing I'll say about the products is that the Neurovax patch on here has allowed me to play in the long grass for the first time in several years. So no longer am I a completely horrible-faced person when I come out of the rough, which covered with all sorts of saliva and stuff, as you can well imagine, when I get a bad reaction to pollen. And also the tree pollen as well doesn't affect me anymore. So in terms of my ability to breathe on a golf course, that's massively improved straight away by these the Neurovax patches. In terms of the physical game of golf, Terry, I'm going to ask you to close your ears for a short time. I wasn't able to meet his requirements of 300 yards because we still do have yards in Europe. But I've recently been hitting the ball 350 yards on a drive. One of the things that I've discovered is with the increased range of movement, sometimes it's not always in the right direction because I'm so loose. So I've had to focus a little bit more on my golf swing, because it can be 350 yards straight down the middle, or 350 yards way across the right hand side as I slice it into oblivion. So it's so the range of movement is a double-edged sword, depending on my average ability as a golfer. So that's quite an important thing. Another aspect that I've seen massively improve is as Terry alluded to, my ability to walk around the course. So I'm carrying my own clubs, carrying extra, because we're in Britain and the weather's a bit uncertain. I carry extra water bottles and waterproofs and other things. So carrying clubs all the way around. And I find myself going at the 17th and 18th hole, and my course, they're both uphill. And I'm beating the guys that have got their electric trolleys, and when I'm getting to the green, I feel refreshed, alert, alive. One thing I haven't done, I've just been prompted by Terry's comments on the chat, is I've never worn my sleeve on the golf course. So this weekend, I'm going to be wearing my sleeve and see how that creates a sense of enhanced calm and concentration as well. So in terms of my Mr. Joe Normal average golf, it's improved my enjoyment much better. That didn't make sense. It's much enhanced my enjoyment.
That's perfect, Stuart. That makes total sense to me. So good for you. 350 just put me in my place. So I stand shut down. Perfect. Love it.
I need to see that, Holcroft.
Oh, I'll show you. Don't worry. I'll show you.
Okay. So,
Typical ex-athletes, right? Just always, everything's a competition. I love it.
yeah. So does anyone else have a story that they would like to tell about their own sporting prowess before we go quickly? There's some names I didn't recognise. I don't know whether you've brought a story with you. Just wave if you have. Okay. No? All right. Well, I've got one very short thing to tell you about, which is my Vox light bulb moment, because I was mentioning that I was struggling with my golf game because of my right hip. I'd been for a couple of lessons, and the pro had wired me up to all sorts of things, and he tracked everything, and he was then explaining to me what I needed to do to change my swing, and my body actually wouldn't go into the places that he wanted it to go. So we had a bit of a. He kept saying, "Well, that's what you got to do," if you. So I then shortly afterwards, I'd bought my socks and insoles, and I then started to play. And there was a moment when I hit a tee shot, which felt like something I hadn't hit for years, and I suddenly realised, yeah, the hip is freeing up. It's allowing me to do those things that Kevin had wanted me to do when he'd given me those lessons. But the thing that really struck me with the hip was trying to pick the ball up out of the hole. And I've been in anti-aging for a while, and to be groveling around on your knees trying to retrieve the ball from the hole isn't a cool look. And you just want to be able to bend down, pick it up, and go. But I was not able to do that. And I was playing this one day, and we'd got as far as the 15th, and I had holed out, and I'd walked up, picked the ball up out of the hole, and I'd walked away. And as I was walking away, suddenly, ka-chunk, I realised that I'd just picked the ball up out of the hole with no effort at all. It had been very easy, very elegant. There'd been no hassle with it at all. And then I thought, I must have been doing that for the whole round. And I just hadn't noticed. It'd been one of those things that just creeps up and you don't notice. And it was a beautiful moment. And I'm still able to, those odd occasions when I hole out, I'm able to retrieve the ball from the hole very elegantly. So thank you all very much for joining us this evening. And I've enjoyed it enormously. I'm ever so glad that Giselle gave us the hint about recording. So we have recorded this, which I think will be useful for us all. So if I work out how to unmute us all, perhaps you'd just like to unmute yourselves. That would be easy, wouldn't it? And then we can just say, if no one else has any questions or anything else to say, let us all just say thank you very much indeed, and good evening. Thank you indeed.
Guys.
Thank you very much.
It was brilliant. A lot of fun as well. Thank you, guys. Thanks, John, Kevin, Terry, everybody. Take care.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you all very much. Good night.
Thanks, John.
Good
Miss
night.
Fozzie,
Thanks.
good to see you.
Good one.